everybody! Welcome to Extrav Aganza! My name is Jordan. And
I'm Summer.
Summer, it's really great to see you guys all here. This is a great turnout. This is really exciting. This is proof that print might still be alive in the future. Okay, show of hands, how many people here are not in an organization? Wow. Yeah. Everybody be on your best behavior. New members, maybe. If things go well, we could pull out of this one. Those of you that don't know, all of the print orgs go through student media on campus. Student media. Yeah, let's hear it. Sure. We love that. It's a part of SOMECA, which is a combination of, SOAR, student media, and cultural and arts diversity. SOMECA. Brought to you by the same people as Extrav Aganza. Putting words together. So we actually have 11 orgs here right now, which is really cool. When I heard that there were going to be 11 orgs at a live event, my first thought was, there's 11 orgs? That's crazy, but that's what this is for. That's why we're all here, to hear about each other. I'm going to read out all the different organizations. Can we get a little noise from if you're a part of the org when we read you out? Do a roll call. You guys want to make some noise? That's what writers like to do. Yell. Scream. We got City on the Hill Press. Wow! Yeah. Of course they're at the top of this list. Makes sense. We got LA Magazine. Ally Magazine. I'm an ally. We got Leviathan, Jewish Journal. Yeah. By the way, I do feel like I know most of these off the top of my head, but I just am so afraid that I'm going to forget one and insult somebody. Anyway. Pin, Matchbox Red Wheelbarrow, all the same zone. Alright. Gaia. Yeah. We got Fish Wrap. We got the newcomer, Scientific Slug. Where they at? Yeah. Scientific Slug. We got Twanis. And last but not least, we got Eye Candy Film Journal. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna throw it over to Sarah now. Summer.
So just a quick note, so that anyone that's not involved kind of knows what's going on. Everything here is run by the student agency model, which means that students run everything with the help of advisors, of course, but it really teaches responsibility and gives you a feeling like you're really a part of something. And it's a really great experience. So if you're not already involved, you should do so. But in all reality, a big thank you to our advisors, Susan, Scott, Anna Kay, and all of the Student Media Council who funded this whole event. It's been hugely helpful. So thank you to everyone. Let's have a big round of applause.
I'll tell you a little bit about where I came into student media. I've been in Fish Wrap for 2 years now, and I just finished up my second year, and like looking back, I don't know what I did with my time before. I've completely committed to the organization. It's so much fun, and it's one of the most memorable things I've done in my college experience so far. So for those of you who aren't a part of an organization, I highly recommend joining one. Fish Wrap's really fun. Little bias towards Fish Wrap. Summer, what is your history? Your Match? Oh yeah, I know that. Tell us about Matchbox.
Matchbox is a UC-wide lit mag, so we take literature and arts from everyone in all the UCs and publish it and distribute it everywhere. But there are a lot of lit mags with a lot of really great print orgs here, and it's really a great experience to get involved with. I've learned so much from my experience, so I highly recommend it.
All right, so we're going to get this thing started. We're going to invite up our first organization presenting, Fish Wrap.
Hello, can you guys hear us? How's it going? We're fish wrap. Are these mics on? All right. This is what fish wrap looks like. I have exactly 2 in my hands. Does anyone want one?
Look at this.
You want one? Which one? Left or right? You're right or my right? Okay. All right. Fish wrap live. Fish warp live. Fish wrap live. What is it? Is it a paper? Is it jokes? Well, really, it's both. It's both. This is cool. I didn't know I was going to be here. All right. Thanks for having us at Extrav Aganza, put on by the wonderful Student Media organization. Everyone give a round of applause. Student Media.
They're going to get a lot of shout-outs tonight.
Yeah, they're a great group of guys. For those of you unfamiliar with Student Media, it's one of the most respected student bodies on campus, and it's responsible for over 79% of Woodstock Pizza's annual revenue.
Yeah, so we're going to give you guys some news updates from everything you might have missed since you came here today, in the past 7 minutes that we've been going.
We didn't want to just read our stories, because that would be kind of weird. So
you guys could go read that.
Here are some recent headlines, jokes that we wrote recently in the recent. A 51-year-old woman was injured Monday after she jumped from a Toyota Corolla while driving along Highway 17 near Scotts Valley, the California Highway Patrol reported. When asked why she jumped, the woman responded, "I just wanted to be like that hit Mad Max."
That's strong. A gardener in Santa Cruz reportedly cut a snake in half on the job and was immediately fired from by the homeowner when she came out and saw what happened. In other news, there have been reports of 600 field mice standing on top of each other's shoulders dressed as a gardener.
So many field mice.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Watch out, everybody.
600.
It's a rape.
I'm surprised no one's seen them. Santa Cruz Police Department plans to open a new alcohol recovery center on Monday that will expand the Santa Cruz County Jail's drunk tank with more space and services. Yeah, this announcement was coincidentally issued after Chad told, everyone about his totally sick danger on Saturday.
You know when you get scooped by the drunk tank, invited too many people. So it was reported on Sunday that Hyundai will decide by the end of the summer if they're going to open up a plant in Santa Cruz, which is interesting, and the day will forever be known as Hyundai Sunday. That's the best way to remember that.
Those ads are so easy.
Yeah.
Hyundai, Sunday Hyundai. FIFA president Sepp Blatter, you guys might have heard of this, will resign from soccer's governing body amid reports of a widening corruption scandal. Yeah. Said Blatt, corruption, scandal, bribery. Those were never my goals! Goals, plural.
Yes. Measure 62 that would have added an additional $117 per student to student fees for the athletic operation enhancement was rejected this year, to the shock of no one. $117, Obers? Who do you think you are, the biotech department? Why did they think that would work? That's making every student pay an additional 3 Netflix accounts per month, when the majority of them is paying by them for friendship. Paying for them by friendship. Hey, Obers, weren't our school's priorities made clear when at the first hint of a serious drought, we gutted your entire field? And if you're thinking of being mean to a minority group on campus who are athletic, you're right, and maybe they deserve to be picked last for once. Come on, we're writers, right?
I don't move. I like the Netflix is a unit of payment. Like you go to Safeway, that's half a Netflix account. A Native American student who sued his California school district because it's refusing to let him wear an eagle feather to his high school graduation will ask a judge for an appeal permitting to wear the sacred item at graduation. Yeah, it's kind of messed up. Conversely, Rachel said that Kelsey's bedazzled 2015 cap looks totally amazing. Amazing.
City on Hill Press recently printed how they won 8 total statewide awards, which on behalf of all student media, I think I can say congratulations. That's awesome.
And also, by the way, great coverage of the awards. Wow, how'd you break that story? That's sick. You got the scoop on it. But anyway, I thought it'd be fun to make some more awards for student media organizations so that we get to be included on the fun. So, first off, the award for Best Satire Newspaper goes to Fish Rat. The Best Poetry Selection goes to Fish Rat. That's weird. And the final award for Best Science goes to Scientific Slug.
Good job. A Minneapolis sex education teacher has drawn the ire of parents after taking students on a field trip to the Smitten Kitten, which is an adult novelty store. It's not all bad, though. The teacher said that the benefits of the trip were twofold. First, a great opportunity for students to facilitate their own sexual education, learning for themselves. And second, is a great opportunity to pick up the all-new Ball Blaster 3000 before any of the other teachers.
For-profit college leader Corinthian filed for bankruptcy this week, which is great because fuck them.
Californians responded to the worst snowpack measurement on record and unprecedented drought restrictions by decreasing their water use by 13.5% in April, regulators said on Tuesday. In response to the collective effort, a noticeably dizzy and chapped-lipped Governor Brown took to the internet to issue a faint but heartful thank you.
We got an inside story from one of the dining hall employees, Dora Heffley, that there's been a highly increased amount of smile and swipes recently. Have you heard about this? Dora's reportedly said that when she sees it, she immediately has to say, "Swiper, no swiping."
Noah Wegrich, 21 of Aptos, won the Canadian Surf Championship in Tofino, British Columbia, Canada, on Sunday as Santa Cruz County surfers swept the pro titles. Yeah, one of the less graceful losers representing Canada quickly responded saying, "Yeah, sure, they can hang 10, but do those hosers even know about moose tipping?" That's what a Canadian surfer sounds like.
Are we doing on time? Yes,
just roll with it.
Cool. Let's see. Oh, did you guys hear that CHP is now exclusively covering people holding instruments? Yes, we've seen the last two CHPs. In front.
People holding instruments.
It's people holding
People
instruments.
holding
There's people holding instruments.
That's it.
That's what that was.
After a final vote on the bill came late this afternoon, the Senate has approved the USA Freedom Act, which will alter the way U.S. agencies conduct surveillance and gather data. Said U.S. surveillance agencies, oh, that's adorable.
I'd like to take a moment to read some of my rejected headlines this year. Ones that didn't quite make the cut. We got Taps $2 million in debt from a broken parking meter. One more cup of coffee all woman needs to finish work and reach nirvana. That one probably should have stayed out. That's a good choice on that one. Let's see. Recent breakup gives me an entirely new perspective on 2002 rock ballad. Jeremy?
Yeah. So, just in closing, Fish Wrap, we printed our final issue of the year, and we got 9 out this year. It was really, really good, really productive. And if you missed it, that's okay, because who knows, we might just accidentally print 3,000 copies of it for next year's Halloween edition. It's a little inside joke for student media people.
Yeah, actually, Fish Wrap is a really great organization. Our last issue was read by 2/3 of our staff.
Yeah. Most right issue. All right, thanks for having us.
Also, we meet Tuesdays above the bookstore at 8 p.m. Meetings open to everybody. They're really fun.
Yeah, you should join next year. It's a really great time. Thanks for having us.
I'm with Chinquapin. Raise your hand if you're from Chinquapin in the room. There's a few of us. And we put together our latest issue. It is the 36th annual volume. You can pick it up on that table if you're interested. I'd like to introduce one of the contributors for the issue is my good friend Jacqueline Gross. Please give her a hand. She's going to read you a poem from Chinkopin, and she's great.
Hey y'all, good night. I'm not going to stand behind the podium because that feels like kind of impersonal and like I'm giving a speech, and that's not what poetry is, so. They told me I have 5 minutes, and I'm definitely not going to take that long because my poem is less than a page, so yeah, I never get to preface poems, so this is always fun. Speaking of like life falling apart, I wrote this poem when my life was falling apart. It's funnier in retrospect. Yeah, I'll let the poem speak for itself, but I wrote this poem at a time that I was thinking about dropping out of school, just having like trouble at home and trouble in Santa Cruz retaining myself here. So the poem basically is just like writing about the place that is healing for me and kind of erodes me, if you will. So I'll let the poem speak. For a time I did not count. The moment my eyes open, left hand reaches up, grab green floral jug, chug water filled hole. Slip shoes, shorts, and sweatshirt on, and hop on bicycle, path not questioned. My innards led me there, to the sea cliffs. Pedaling, pedaling, set bicycle down, and eyes glued to the ocean. For a time I did not count. The ocean has a way where it may settle me down as its coarsest sediments. So easy, so easing. Sometimes the ocean cries for me. Thank you.
Next up, we're going to have some readers from Red Wheelbarrow.
Hello, everyone. Wow. Yeah. Wow. You know, I've been like worrying about this for the past 5 months now, and yeah, that's come full boil. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm super excited that you're all here. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to introduce our first reader of the evening because when I first read her stuff during the selections process back in like February, March, I was super blown away by this particular author's works. They're flash fiction pieces, and for those of you who are not familiar with that term, and you probably are, that means they're basically just short stories that ultimately have the task of saying far more than the actual space they're allotted. So these pieces really resonated with me, and actually this reader is a new staff member, and we're really excited to have her on board for next year. So now I'd like to introduce Ms. Carolina Ixta Navarro Gutierrez.
Hello. Thank you for that introduction. It was a lot nicer than I expected it to be. So yeah, I write flash fiction, and I now write for Red Wheelbarrow. If anybody's interested in joining, I think it is an amazing organization. But the first piece I'm going to read, I actually wrote winter quarter, and it is called Máscara, which means mask in Spanish, and without the accent translates to mask in English. No, that's the mascara. Did you guys know there's actually no word for mascara in Spanish? They just call it Rimmel, and I think that's funny. Yeah. Anyway, I actually wrote this also for my intro to creative writing class, and people seem to enjoy it, so now here I am. All right, it's called Máscara. That's not your color, Loca. Do you want to look like a mime now? Letty asked, tapping her foundation bottle against the heel of her hand. I like this one better. Cream rose. Pretty, no. She squinted her eyes at me, then turned to look at the rest of the foundation bottles in the makeup bag sitting on the dash of the car. She tapped one with her long acrylic nail. This is more you. It's called Sand Beige. I leaned back in my seat. It's such an ugly name. What's pretty about sand? Nothing. It's nothing but uncomfortable. It's an ugly name, pero el color te queda. She flipped down the visor above her and moved on to applying to her mascara, mouth wide open and eyes bugged out like always. She always overdid her makeup when we were going out. It didn't even matter where. If we had our fake IDs, it was a nightclub or a cumbia bar. And if we didn't, like tonight, it was a house party wherever we could find. I looked at Letty for a moment as she cautiously used the safety pin to separate her clumped lashes before I applied my foundation, cream rose, onto my face with my sponge. She peered over at me from the corner of her eyes and smacked her lips. Wes, at least blend it into your neck so you won't look so crazy. While Letty finished final touches on her hair, spraying a fog of hairspray so thick I thought for a moment we were back in the Bay, I pulled open my purse and fished out a pair of blue-colored contacts I bought in Chinatown earlier that week. Letty stepped out of the car and waited for me to finish up, posting up with her back against a wall and her arms folded over her chest. I blinked a couple of times to set the contacts in place and did a final mirror check, making sure I looked the way I'd always hoped to before meeting up with Letty outside. We walked down Pacific silently. The only sound audible over the English lyrics traveling from the party was the uneven clanking of Letty's heels against the cement of the sidewalk. And as we neared the hosting house, suburban and clean, of the party, she did a double take at me. Hey, if your ma saw you with those pendejadas de huera in your eye, she would kill you. Right then I stopped. My mother would have to say, well, it's not like she's any different. Letty scoffed. What are you trying to say? I tried to bite my tongue, but couldn't. She just bought a Rosetta Stone to go to English mass. Thank you. All right, and my second piece is called Huesitos, which means bones in Spanish, and I wrote this instead of paying attention during a photography lecture last quarter. The first I love you was said over chicken wings, vulnerability as exposed as their bones. We sat in that apartment, the light of a salt and pepper TV screen and a single flickering light bulb washing our faces white. That apartment that reeked of fast food and paint chips, the only visitors more frequent than the landlord asking for a rent was a trail of roaches. Te amo, he said, wiping his greasy fingers on his paint-stained jeans, reaching for my hand. I said it back because Ma liked him, said his 2 jobs meant he was willing to provide for me, that he was secure. I said it back because I thought of that quote, if you wait until you're ready, you'll wait forever. That's what Pa said when I asked him why he crossed, and that's what Ma told me when I admitted to her that I didn't quite feel ready to be married and asked her why she chose to be. I knew with my pessimism I wouldn't ever come around to saying it, so I figured now was a better time than any. I think he knew that too, because when I said it back, softly so he wouldn't notice my words slanting upward at the end, he did not smile. Instead, he took my hand and said something he'd heard on the TV of that Huera's house he was painting earlier. You don't have to feel like the rays of 100 suns. His accent was thick, and I knew he didn't understand what the words meant, but simply enjoyed the sound of the syllables collapsing into one another, the hug and excitement of saying something in a foreign tongue. I knew he'd been gargling the words, practicing them on the bus ride back home to impress me with the English I'd only so recently learned. But still, I nodded at him after he said it and ate my untouched food while watching the snowy television screen. I don't think, even after all of this time, that he really knew what that quote meant, because even the rays of the sun set and dim. And I knew with absolution that I could never feel like the rays of these suns, but could only feel like the light of that flickering bulb. Thank you.
Hello, so next we have a reading from Gaia. We're the campus environmentally themed magazine. And this is a piece our 2 editors, Madeline Starr and Allison Titus, wrote. And we published it on our website, which is new this year, so everyone should check it out.
Sorry.
Here it is.
All right. Hello, everybody. I am Grassy Knoll. I'm co-editor-in-chief of Matchbox Magazine with the wonderful Summer Parker Perry, who helped put this all together. Give it up for her and Randy and Sarah one more time. We are a statewide, UC-wide literary magazine that accepts submissions from and distributes to every UC school in the state. And I will be reading a poem that I published in our most recent issue, Matchbox 9, and it's what the scholars would call a common object poem. It's called Poetry Pants. I don't put them on one leg at a time. I hop into them all at once, springboarding up off of the bed and landing fully clothed. I don't need to tie the drawstring. They remember the shape of my waist. They may not be flashy or fancy. They may have some cigarette burns here and there, but my poetry pants are magical, so I don't even care. They don't touch the ground when I walk outside, the cuffs just perfectly worn away. Frictionless slide into the driver's side. Yep, I wore my poetry pants today. Toe tapping along to the radio, they know all my favorite songs. No commercials, crosswalks, or red lights. The poetry pants just dance along. I get where I'm going in no time flat. Park my car right up front. Walking on the ground seemed much too cliche, so I flip the script and skywalk the rest of the way. Some stop, some stare, some whisper behind their hands, but that shit don't faze me. My poetry pants are Teflon lined, so mudslinger's bullshit don't stick to me. I simply can't care about what some people might say. I've got my poetry pants on today. I'm not a gangster or a savior, but I sea walk across the bay. The setting sun, too poetic not to watch from Monterey. Sea otters see me coming, paws give me daps from floating on their backs. I eat a bag of Scrabble tiles like trail mix, just to spit some verses when I reach the shore. Then I'm gone before dark sets in, always leave them wanting more. I ride home on the back of a dolphin. Mammals know how to show respect. Bring my car, my poetry pants, and my brain back home, where I lay my head to rest. Reality TV is Ambien for intellect and an overactive imagination. I moonwalk out of my poetry pants, a mortal man once more, but sleeping in bed was much too cliche, so I passed out on the floor. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce another wonderful poet published in Matchbox 9, and let him know if you think he's handsome. Mitchell Counts Nelson.
Hello. Thank you, Chris. That was cute. This is Universal You Swallow. For gods falling short, there are pills and microwaves. Surely our cousins born in caves under Mount Shasta get fucked up on familiar spirits. You were naked once, tucked between brain hemispheres in private moonlight, throbbing to be felt. Now you drag your days through various hungers, your love letters on fire in rest stop bathrooms. The alien friend calls to keep you talking. The cultured bloodthirst assumes you in its teeth. The petty California serve as meat. You grow bored under police investigation. You can make your life as narrow as possible. You can wake up without a body in Fulbeck, England, hover in the Episcopalian churchyard, collapse on the stomach of a family name. Thank you.
Sorry about that, the shorter fell. Katrina Nelson is next. Are you in the house, Katrina Nelson? Cool.
Mitchell Nelson, I was like, I'll go. So I was for Katrina Nelson. So yeah, it takes a second, but here's a quick eternity. It's called Alone in a Crowded Room. I forgot the title. Alone in a Crowded Room. Alone in a Crowded Room.
Put the microphone up.
I linger. Out Sing everybody. On to the stage, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi. This is about a girl. It's called Hannah. I felt you the same way I said your name, like a sigh, the tip of my tongue flicking the roof of my mouth in exhalation. Like searing liquefied glass I could drink without breaking skin until it hardened in my gut. And this is another short poem. It's called Nothing. I can't stop thinking about your fingers in my mouth and all the nothings they pulled out. And this poem is written by a student from UC Berkeley. Her name's Maya Morales. It's called Alone on a Friday Night. The city, painted in smoke, like rouge, pulls up on her fishnets and slips delicately into see-through lace. Next up, we have Scientific Slug.
Sorry.
Hi everybody, we're Scientific Slugs. We're a student media org. It's dedicated to combining, can you bring that a little bit lower, sorry? Combining art and science. We have a collection of some of our previous works prepared for you guys today. All right.
Okay, 1 second, sorry. Technical difficulties.
No worries. Ahoy nerds! Our solar system could be thrashed, ripped, and spit anew by a black hole. Scientists of other universes could laugh at our lovable laws of motion and our trivial comprehension of the cosmos. What are the odds that we are where we are? What are the odds that we are what we are? Is it complete chance, or are there some physical constants that the universe favors? You may not exist because of some constants you cannot control. Phew, that's quite a thought. Maybe relax a little, take a sip of wine, provided you are of age. As you pop a bottle of bubbly, celebrate UC Santa Cruz's 50th birthday and relive its climb up the research ranks. Give in to the nostalgia. We have front row seats to black holes shredding stars and meiosis mishaps. We detect protons and gamma rays with equipment that makes our tuition look like pocket change. We fall in love with the Neanderthal. We're a group of people that share a love for science and art. This following collection is dedicated to sharing that community with you.
This is an excerpt from a poem that I wrote. It's in a magazine, so check it out. Shimmering and awakening the entire solar system, he was a profound deepening, trickling silence that bathed the entire universe in warm honey. Please slow, please listen as this 1,000-color boy hailing from the hydrogen heavens, little overalls hung 100 solar masses heavy on his shoulders, intergalactic overalls. His short, messy nails had specks of dirt under them, space dirt, space soil, space mess. Every cream freckle in it held a world. Every world touched and included in his never-ending, never-ending, never-ending game of pretend. An infinite galactic ink droplet led into the universe from neither up nor down. have another poem to share with you that I did not write. It was written by someone by the name of Princess Brutus, who can't be here today. Morning. Asteroid 23-7 turned its bottle face towards its star. It wobbled as the tippler knocked empty bottles from his desk, trying to hide from the photons playing through the last beads of drink. He grimaced, groaned, and gulped at the contents of bottle after bottle after bottle until he came to the realization that he was really out of drink and the beads would only float away on the wind, leaving him just a whiff. The cross-eyed tippler sat up unsteady and watched bobbing ghost pairs of his old bottles stagger past the horizon of the asteroid 327. Or perhaps not. Empty regret. Bottles wavered like mirages, but did not leave. 1. In the bottle in the hands of the tippler there was nothing. Nothing but his lament. No thing sat inside the bottle in the hand of tippler. Or was it the 2 bottles in his 2 left hands, or the 4 bottles in his 4 hands, that there was not a single thing inside? The tippler put down his head and let it clear for an hour by sleep. He woke, groaned, and grumbled, and shoved a bottle into the bottle in his left hand. There was now a thing, one thing, and a bottle in the tippler's left hand, 1 empty bottle. He may or may not have 2 left hands, but he knew there was one thing, for sure, one thing, a bottle, an empty bottle, in the bottle in his left hand. His right bottle hand, not one single thing.
In light of this being the 50th year that UC Santa Cruz has been around, we kind of constructed this illustrated timeline, and in the magazine there's actually little blurbs of all the different dates we chose to kind of like point out. But Santa Cruz has done a lot in terms of research, and a couple that I will read to you that you might not know about were in 1976, UC Santa Cruz professor and graduate student discovered the Faber-Jackson relation, which was used to weigh galaxies and provide evidence of dark matter. Then in 2000, Hausler's lab assembled the first draft of the human genome sequence and made it open to the public. In 2004, alumna Katie Sullivan was the first American woman to walk in space. And in 2014, UC Santa Cruz was rated #1 in research impact in the world, which is kind of why Scientific Slugs is all around is around, because there's all this cool research going on, and we just figured it's well worth sharing it with the public. So thank you. If you guys have any interest in joining, you are more than welcome.
Next up, we're going to have Leviathan Jewish Journal.
Hey everybody, so I'm Jason and I'm a member of the Leviathan staff. We are a UC organization and Jewish journal dedicated to creating a medium wherein Jewish students and allies may freely express their opinions on the identity politics and political crises and various minor, large picture going-ons of Jewish existence and what it means to be living in this world with the difficulties that have gone on in the past and those that are going on in the present in Israel, Palestine, and in the United States and everywhere. So it's a piece, or it's a collection of pieces of Jewish and non-Jewish students about Jewishness. So I wrote a short piece about my own personal musings on Jewish identity and on my experience as a Jew, and it's called Authenticity Through Doubt, because I've kind of wavered on where I am as a Reformed Jew, and what it means to really be part of any identity group. So I'm just going to shortly read that to you guys. Hope you enjoy it. My mother was born Roman Catholic. At the age of 32, she left the church and made a formal conversion to Judaism in San Francisco. Before the time of my birth, she regularly attended synagogue and observed Jewish norms. But when the doctor asked her if I should be circumcised, she refused. Circumcision within the Jewish practice is the baby's first covenant with God and holds a considerable amount of weight. However, my mother reasoned that it was unethical to make an elective surgical decision without my consent. She felt that forcing religion on me would be counterintuitive to the notion of faith. I would have to find it on my own. And so I grew up celebrating both Christian and Jewish holidays, but taking part spiritually in neither. I admired my friends' decisions to have confirmations and bar mitzvahs, but I could never so concretely determine my own religious convictions. There was a kernel of belief missing for me, something that always precluded my membership as a Jew in my own eyes. I began to consider how something is often defined by its use. Likewise, the politics of identity are a function of one's behavior. Our actions ossify our sense of self. And recently, a friend and I were discussing the blurred line between cultural exchange and cultural appropriation. My own relationship with Judaism came to mind. Who or what defines my identity as a Jew? It is not the Israeli state. It is not the skin on my penis, and it is not my mother's blood that runs through my veins despite her Jewish identity. This line of thought is fresh in my mind as I struggle with the notion of authenticity regarding my own Jewishness. To engage genuinely, knowledge and respect are necessary. One cannot make fair use of others' cultural capital without a rich understanding of their ancestry. One must possess a willingness to engage with it as though it were his or her own heritage. Internalizing culture cements one's belonging. And today, now more than ever, I'm drawn to Judaism like a moth to a flame. In my free time, I endeavor to learn Hebrew in order to study the Torah. I dream of Israel, a homeland to which I've never been, a community I fear I will never truly be a part. And in many ways, my Jewish identity may be rooted in my uncertainty, for as of yet, that is all I have. If doubt is the shadow of faith, then surely if I move deeper into it, I may find myself closer to the light of the flame I seek. However, I am scared of the possibility that I never will find that light. I fear that forever my convictions will be ingenuine and my yarmulke will never be more than a mask. But maybe, through the process of exploration, I will find the answers that I'm looking for. Identity is fluid and ever-changing, and our membership within a group is not defined by a single doctrine or practice, but by the thoughtful understanding and participation within said community. Thank you. If anybody would like to join, we're going to be meeting on, I think, Tuesdays still next year, yes, at around 8 o'clock in the Writing Center. And yeah, please come and join if you want to write about politics and identity or even just your daily goings-on. So, thanks.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a brief intermission now, about 8 to 9 minutes. Remy, can I get some music to go into the intermission? Sure. No, I'm just kidding. If everybody can walk around and look at all the publications, they're all there to be presented for you. And there's more pizza.
They're more civilized. These cops are bores. You start shaking out of fear, not knowing what to do. They allegedly thought you were making a violent move and let off round after round. Screams can be heard over this empty and clip sound. So your story makes it to court, and the verdict turns out to be bullshit. The cop walks free, and an innocent soul is stolen from a family. So fuck the police. No justice was served. So people try to serve it for themselves. Cruise up the block, find an on-duty cop, gun him down, then take his life. But now you stole from his son, daughter, wife. At this point, they've gunned down us, and we've gunned down them. When does this cycle end? Grow out of the hate and violence, then maybe, just maybe, we can make a difference. You have to get loud during a moment of silence. Otherwise, you'd be allowing another us versus them incident.
Thank you. And the next performer is Vianne, the current Allied coordinator.
Hello, everybody. I actually don't think I need this. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I performed this piece at FSA's Filipino Cultural Celebration, Hanggang Ngayon, which translates to Until Now. And I don't want to spiel too much about it, so I'll just let the poem speak for itself. They say to love the skin you're in, but I've scrubbed the melanin spread across my arms until they've been burned raw. I've marveled at how the blood beneath my bones turned white if I pinched the skin hard enough, squeezing and wringing my wrists, wrangling down to my bones, where I'd finally see the American dream breaking through skin, toasted to tan, to go unnoticed in America. But my bones are the bones of my family, brittle under the weight of the American eye. My parents have survived in this country, worked to the marrow to live the American dream, but I'm still dreaming of being American. Still living in a monolingual melting pot where Coke commercials are crushed under Chevy pickups, where YouTube comments call us Japs and Chinks, housemaids, nurses, go back to where you came from. Dog eaters in a dog-eat-dog world, still living in a country where I'm too Asian to be white and too whitewashed to be Asian. Are you Filipino or Filipino-American? As if I would answer in a knotted tongue laced with Manny Pacquiao's broken English, as if hyphenated nationalities define the face of a population, as if I could choose where I was born and what I was born as. A parent, disconnected from the homeland, hindi magaling mag-Ingles, citizens seen as foreigners, coherent English weighed down by molasses accents, the thick blood of my ancestors coursing through my veins, connected to kababayan through likbayan boxes. I cannot forget where I came from, I cannot forget who I am, but who am I really? Pero sino tayo talaga? A child, disconnected from the homeland, English plastered to the tongue, young, Asian or Pacific Islander, a wanderer, swaying through the sea of misidentified ethnicities. I don't want to be a nurse, I don't want to be a doctor. The taste of ampalaya is too bitter on my tongue. I am too young to appreciate the culture that I do not care to know. Still living the opportunity that my parents left the Philippines for, still wishing that I could be something more than Filipino. Pero sino tayo talaga? Who am I really? I am proud of my family. I am proud of my kapamilya. I am proud of the tan pigments that stick to my pores, that reflect the aching sores of families before who have suffered. I am proud of the guttural syllables that slip off my slick tongue. Huwag mawalan ang pag-asa. Don't lose hope. Hopefully by next week, but we have last year's anthology and the year before that if you want to look through what Ally does, as well as what the FSA community does. Thank you.
Featuring Eye Candy Film Journal.
I'm Deborah. I'm the editor-in-chief of iCandy. Thanks. We're an annually published media studies collection, so yeah. You want to say?
I'm Larissa Gonzalez. I'm a writer, and yeah, I wrote a piece, so we should get it and read it.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to read something from the editor's note. So each of us, I think we have a few articles in there, and we also have submissions. And it was kind of about like writing what we cared about in terms of like the media and how it relates to society and stuff. So I just want to, yeah. Okay. We wrote and drew and photoshopped and edited these pieces because it is hard, because we know that understanding the media is key to not only understanding society, but to changing it as well. We aren't going to rattle off a list of themes and ideas presented in this year's issue, because doing so would be a disservice to the stakes every one of us had in our articles and submissions, to the communities we come from and write about. We made this for ourselves and for you. We hope our words and images make you think, and we hope they make you talk. I know I personally wrote about 80s action movies and Reagan and my dad, and I don't know, just like relating that to like growing up in the trailer park, being poor, and all these things. And I know that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to talk about these things if not for publication. So it means a lot to me.
We also have a short video we're going to show, so hope you enjoy it.
It's from last year.
I'm really excited to be the faculty advisor for iCandy this year. On one hand, iCandy is a long-standing student-initiated academic organization. It's a testament to the desire on the part of students to find a creative outlet beyond classes.
We're just ourselves, and we like to have fun, write about things that interest us.
Like other publications on campus, certainly student-initiated, but it has a particular focus and desire to not only entertain relevant questions about media culture, but also to engage its readers with those questions. On a college campus in particular, right, we have generally younger minds, fresher minds, different minds, and so an attention about what's going on in media culture is in some ways a way to participate in culture. It is a beautiful and kind of isolated environment, and at the same time, because media is everywhere, and I think students who elect to study media could be a part of iCandy, there's a sense that through media we can connect.
iCandy is much more than just a food. We have a lot of great updates coming up this year, and a lot of really cool events. So stay tuned.
I'm happy to introduce one of the featured signers from Matchbox Magazine, Lucy Shapiro.
Okay, so I'll be reading the first two parts of a piece in Matchbox Magazine called A Move in 3 Parts. The third part will appear behind me here. 1. She knew what he meant, and he knew what she meant. A manic sprawl under the layers, an indiscernible pattern of shapes, a code. I know what it says. 2. Remember, one by one, taste, smell, enjoy, conjuring smoothness, a delicate crunch, sweet, luscious mango. She cried. The sweetness made them sick, restless. Of all the delight given, It was always lonely in the end. She was strong, like alligator skin, rigid, unchangeable, deep blacks, relieving white. No one except for them. She, his secret, loved him. She cracked and came spilling out. It was perfect. A painting filled with books. They now belonged, like idols, once empty. She wanted. Before I introduce the next presenter, I want to say that Matchbox Magazine is looking for new members. So we're looking for enthusiastic people. We have our 9th edition out here. If you flip through it and like what you see, please talk to one of us. Summer, Grassy, really any of us on this row right here, second row. All right. Next is Sandra Fernandez from Matchbox Magazine.
Hi everyone. This is the vacuum. Why allow it to be controlled by the master puppeteers? We are all letting our very souls get sucked up by people who could care less about our existence and our health. Like a vacuum, they grab every single little particle that they can get a hold of. The manipulators hunger for dollars in exchange for your self-destruction. But why not be the particles that float up into the sky to become one with all humanity, earth, and life? Be the ones who cherish. Don't allow our existence to perish. Hold on tightly to merit. Don't worry so much about what we might inherit, and accept that we're all connected, because it is a fact that should be dissected and not rejected. Sadly, this fact is neglected, not respected, because capitalist America and its consumer citizens want to live infected by countless deceiving advertisements, pharmaceutical abuse, the plug-in drug, and Monsanto, just to name a few. But everything seems okay. So the particles continue to go with the flow, unreflected. Their misguided habits unsuspected or even objected. Alternatively, judicious thinking should be promoted to help select, correct, and protect our conscious minds from further mental and physical harassment derived out of our attachments. Should I just let the suction swallow me? Thank you. And now it's Dominic Delmois, reading her piece from Matchbox Magazine.
Thank you. I'm actually going to be reading Hannah Johnson's piece. She's from UC Riverside, so I had the honor of, thank you. I had the honor of reading her piece. This piece is called Blisters. You found me in the bathtub with my clothes on, clutching prescription bottles to my chest. All the pills were still there. I didn't want to die, at least not in that moment. Those pills were the only things that knew how to love me. You certainly didn't. When I would slip into the dark place, my mind would sew my mouth shut from the inside so the lies couldn't get to you. But in my silence, you heard sickness, and you would say, "This isn't you." And I would think, "It feels a lot like me." You were so convinced that there was something trapped inside of my veins, something sane and right, that you ripped me apart trying to get to it. On our first date, we stood in front of a photograph of a woman walking past a burning car. And I said it was about being brave and leaving the bad things behind. And you said you saw the real me for the first time. But I swear I heard you say, if you're not okay, you are not real. I heard you say, if you're not a symphony of smiles, then swallow your song, because because nobody will listen. I heard you say you're just a hologram running on 20 milligrams of fluoxetine. I heard you say I'd let them amputate your hands if it would mean they'd stop shaking. I heard you say, I want to fix you more than I want to love you. I can't always give you the answer you want to hear about a woman walking past a burning car, because maybe it really is about how everything always burns and we just have to watch somehow without hurtling ourselves into the blaze. I can't always be the metaphor that stitches you back inside your skin. You left me alone in a dark hallway, and I've spent 3 years looking for an exit sign. And I have blisters in my mind. I've been over this so many times. But I can't help but answer your ghost when it asks, where does it hurt? Tell me where it hurts. Thank you. And we have one more amazing piece from Matchbox, and it will be Christopher Granger. Give it up for him. Thank you.
Good morning. I just want to say I love everyone in the room. Unconditionally.
I love you too.
I love all of you. This piece is called PTA Meeting About Dinosaurs. By me, Christopher Granger. Parent-teacher conferences reached record levels of attendance ever since dinosaurs were rendered unextinct. Kids started to go missing. Bloody streaks stretched into the periphery of the playground. Wheeled sneakers with blinking lights half chewed. Can't we do something? Asked a concerned mother. About what? Answered the teacher. You know, the dinosaurs. Not really. They're protected under law as endangered species. But do they really have to drop them off next to our schools? Isn't there a deserted island they could live on instead? Don't be silly. If we stopped treating them as animals and started treating them as equals, maybe this wouldn't be an issue, interjected the smelly woman who had no children, but attended the meetings anyways. A velociraptor ate her on the way home. Everyone was glad about that, at least. Next up is Gaia Magazine.
Hi, I'm Maddie Starr, the co-editor-in-chief of Gaia Magazine, and I have the pleasure of introducing Gaia contributor Jen Figueroa, who's going to be reading her poem that's featured in this year's magazine, which you can pick up over there. So now it's Jen.
Hello, Jen. This is Let Nature Take Its Course by me. A beautiful campus, no doubt. Undeniable integration of fauna and concrete. Sunk in deep are the roots of the trees we let keep. You see the rays of sun seep through the clouds of leaves, the deer, raccoons, coyotes, running wild and free as they please. You let nature take its course, and it's undoubtedly a beautiful thing, but the course has obstacles of littering, cigarette butts, candy wrappers, coating segments of the ground. Surround yourself in nature. You look down. The sound of plants choking on the plastic wrapping of a Snickers bar fills the air polluted by the emissions from a car with no care. Exhausted, the earth lets out a sigh. Trying to find a sense of hope in this time. Letting nature take its course is only a possibility if we take responsibility for the obstacles we've placed and begin to understand the meaning of accountability. How much longer do we have till nature caves from the destruction, pollution, the waves of CO2 and fossil fuels? But hey, we could just sit back and let nature take its course, right?
Leviathan Jewish Journal next. Small mouse issue that we're taking care of.
Hi everyone, my name is Kelsey. This is my 7th quarter with Leviathan, and I wrote a piece called When Comedy Crosses the Line. It's a commentary, and I'm going to share it with you all. This past March, Comedy Central announced that South African comedian Trevor Noah was chosen as the next host of The Daily Show. He will be replacing current host Jon Stewart, who has anchored the satirical news outlet for over 16 years. Noah's career began in 2002 when he landed the star role on the South African soap opera Isidingo. Besides hosting a radio show, he hosted a comedy talk show called Tonight with Trevor Noah starting in 2010. Noah first appeared on U.S. television in 2012 on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. He has also guest starred on The Late Show with David Letterman and The Daily Show. But just as the curtains were pulled to unveil Noah's takeover, his past was put under scrutiny. Noah is a frequenter of the social networking platform Twitter. Some of his old tweets have been deemed misogynistic, racist, and anti-Semitic. Other news outlets have been forgiving of his comments due to his own mixed heritage. Noah was born to a Swiss father and a biracial South African mother. She is Xhosa and Jewish. So if Noah is a quarter black and a quarter Jewish, is he entitled to make arguably offensive jokes so long as he identifies with the group he's antagonizing? Personally, I don't think so. Comedy should not be a forum to jab at historically marginalized and underrepresented groups, but rather a space to critique those in positions of power and privilege. One should not be exempt from that rule based on his or her own identity. This is where Noah walks a fine line. Most of his comedy does critique systems of power, racism, and ignorance. And aside from his sometimes crude and distasteful jokes, Noah's comedy usually reflects well-thought-out critiques of social climates and popular culture. For example, when Noah guest starred on The Daily Show last December, he commented on the disproportionate rates of police brutality against black males, as well as Ebola outbreaks in the United States. In the sketch, he pointed out that he feels safer as a black man in South Africa than in the US. While addressing the notion that the United States is far more industrialized and advanced than countries like South Africa, he exposed the ignorance of many Americans who are quick to judge others, but fail to recognize systemic problems within their own society. So even if Noah is often well-informed and tasteful about his comedic deliveries, his presentation of information in the form of comedy should still be carefully critiqued. On the one hand, Noah shouldn't be let off the hook for a poorly delivered joke. Even if he is of mixed racial heritage, this kind of comedy creates a recurring problem of punching down. I will also credit Susan for informing me on this term. That is, it targets groups that have historically been disenfranchised instead of calling out groups that perpetuate discrimination. Punching down happens all too often on social networking sites. People feel protected behind a screen and entitled to say whatever comes to mind. On the other hand, Noah should be granted some leeway. These tweets are nearly 3 and 6 years old, and Noah has shown through his more recent routines that his comedy has become more tasteful. Platforms like Twitter have opened up the stage to anyone who has something to say in 140 characters. Unfortunately, complex issues like race and gender are often reduced to a few words due to the nature of the platform. But social media can also provide an open forum for grassroots activism. Noah has tweeted nearly 9,000 times, using Twitter to rally against xenophobia, support anti-apartheid rallies at the University of Cape Town, and promote solidarity movements on college campuses. This is not, however, to justify Noah's distasteful comedy with his social activism. At the same time, it is not honest to only critique him without recognizing his constructive commentary. In a world of hyper-political correctness, comedians like Noah don't have room to talk about issues like race and actually make mistakes doing so. It is important to call Noah out when his jokes reinforce stereotypes and power dynamics, but he also needs to be given the space to learn how to right his wrongs. If a primary purpose of comedy is to critically examine what's going on in mainstream culture, then comedians should tackle issues of identity, power, and injustice. Further, commentators like Noah and the nightly show host Larry Wilmore are minority voices in a media world
that is dominated and controlled by white males. Having a presence on television can grant underrepresented groups a sense of affirmation and identity. Representation provides young people with role models in public spaces, as well as a more realistic view of the world's population. Moreover, diversity in media dismantles assumptions and overgeneralizations of minority groups often portrayed in the mainstream. Part of comedy's appeal is that it can provide informative commentary, not only on world events and systematic narratives of how we socialize one another, but on how information is exchanged through digital discourse. Through a well-planned and researched comedy routine, comedians like Noah should be supported in dismantling systems of inequality rather than sensationalized for poorly delivered one-liners. In light of the critiques, Jon Stewart defended Comedy Central's choice to hire Noah. Quote, "I can say this without hesitation. Trevor Noah will earn your trust and respect, or not," said Stewart, "just as I earned your respect, or didn't." End quote. Either way, Noah must be given the chance to try, both to fail and to succeed. Thank you. And lastly, we're going to hear again from Red Wheelbarrow.
Cool. This is, wow, just beyond all my expectations. This is really great. I'm really glad to see all of you tonight. So, before we end, I would like to introduce two other featured contributors from our 2015 edition. And to start off, I'm going to have our very own, actually, Chinquapins member, Jared Levine, come up and read one of his poems.
Hello, I'm Jared Levine. Thank you to Remy for putting this on, because I know he was stressing about it.
And Summer.
And Summer, yeah. And Sarah. Well, thanks to everyone who did it. Hooray. This piece is called Frog Legs. I was a frog grabbed by God. He chose me, proceeded to throw me into a stainless steel pot, filled it with water, told me to wait, so I waited. Got lonely, went crazy. Before God threw one more frog beside me, I said, "You're just in time," and smiled. But I could clearly see in its eyes that its mind was running late. We tricked ourselves into thinking we were happy, tricked ourselves into thinking the water wasn't getting hotter. I hope God knows, even in overchewed pieces in the darkest part of his stomach, I will croak until he's forced to throw up on his white satin skin and look at the bland hodgepodge of organs and limbs before him, ignoring the putrid stench, the nonsensical pretentiousness of appetite. And it's my turn to introduce Deborah Bilodeau.
Hello again. This is a piece I wrote called Gossamer. I think about our first meeting, sitting in a circle, my woman being impressed that I used gauzy or some other such word, being so pleased and satisfied with this. Deep chortle smirk. Did I mention self-satisfaction? Paragon. A person or thing regarded as the perfect example of a particular quality. I'm the paragon of correct word usage. Inadvertently on-point diction. On point, strangely rhetorical per se. Scatterbrained, jumbled, and frazzled. I should make things as jumbled to clear my mind as the crazier, more syncopated a song is, the more cleansing, white. Lenses and glares and colors and pastels. And fuck, virtual images, and what is the focal length distance of something reflected in a mirror? What is that? But science can't answer, because this is a question of quintessence, of shades, ombres, and something scanned through a looking glass darkly, Instagram filter of shade. Shade, Instagram filter, shade. What does it mean to focus on the filter instead of the image itself, besides the triteness of focalization and subjectivity? Where is what is inside? Gossamer is the word I used. How further away can you get from the goopy, alcohol, crazy solvent nature chemical lacquer for keratin extensions or replicating the feeling of fog and the scent of lavender available at local CVS? The bottle, plastic on plastic, gold plastic and some 80s Oberlin of hairspray and rhinestones, beauty supply stores, and off-pastel colored hair dryers and gridded shop display things 20 years before American Apparel, the evil cruel. What could be less gossamer than this? Nothing. But also not, because what is more delicate and gauzy than diesel smoke the air coughing in from some kind of intense sunlit hangover phase. What is more gossamer than smog in Southern California and the 80s tackiness? Gossamer is no longer the fabric of romantic poetry of strange women held by Byronic heroes in the attic and spider webs and dew, because that is no longer the world we live in. We are closer to Blade Runner, the bright star, and this is 100% fact. I near the end of the page. I like the rectangle, trivia, some kind of basic bitch, basic HTML aesthetic, but I don't give a fuck, because why? Gossamer was in my plastic, shiny, slippery, high school, orange vocabulary workbook of yellowed pages.
This is it for the event. We wanted to thank you all for coming and for listening to this. We do have the room for another hour, so if you want to network and or help clean up, all of those things are welcome. Thank you again to all of Student Media, all of the advisors, everyone that read tonight. It really ended up being better than we could have ever hoped. So thank you.